All rise. Please be seated.
Good afternoon.
The Specialist Chamber of the Constitutional Court of the Kosovo Specialist Chamber, Judge Anne Power Ford presiding, and myself, Riaz Haider, Court Officer. In the matter of Maher Hosseini versus the Specialist Prosecutor's Office, file number KSC CC 201905.
Mimim Brema, Dobar Dan, good afternoon. Introduction. This pronouncement is a summary of the ruling of the Specialist Chamber of the Constitutional Court on the request of Mr. Maher Hosseini, the applicant, for an interim measure in relation to the order of the Specialist Prosecutor's Office of 20 December 2018, hereinafter the order. The public has been informed in advance of the date and time of the Chamber's pronouncement. The text of this pronouncement is available on the website in the 3 official languages of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. Brief procedural background. On 15 January 2019, the applicant lodged with the Specialist Chamber of the Constitutional Court, the Chamber, a referral dated 11 January 2019. The applicant lodged the referral under Article 113, paragraph 7 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kosovo, the Constitution. The applicant was represented by Dr. Arton Kerkini. In the referral, the applicant complained that the order of the Specialist Prosecutor's Office directing him to provide documents and information violated his right to silence and breached the privilege against self-incrimination and the presumption of innocence. The applicant relied on Articles 30, paragraph 6 and 31, paragraph 5 of the Constitution and Article 6, paragraph 2 of the European Convention on Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. The applicant has applied pursuant to Rule 21, paragraphs 1 and 2 of the Rules of Procedure for the Specialist Chamber of the Constitutional Court for an order in the form of an interim measure, suspending the order pending a determination by the Chamber of the admissibility and merits of the referral. On 15 January 2019, the President of the Specialist Chambers, pursuant to Article 33(3) of the law, number 05L053 on Specialist Chambers and Specialist Prosecutor's Office, assigned a constitutional panel to rule on the referral. On 25 January 2019, the Specialist Prosecutor filed his replying submissions in relation to the applicant's request for an interim measure. On 25 and 26 January 2019, the Constitutional Panel, composed of Judges Anne Power Ford presiding, Judge Vidar Stensland and Judge Roland Deckers, met to deliberate in person. This pronouncement relates only to the Chamber's ruling on the applicant's request for an interim measure. The Chamber's ruling on the referral will follow in due course. Brief factual background. On 20 December 2018, the Specialist Prosecutor's Office served on the applicant 2 documents, namely a summons to appear for questioning on 11 February 2019, the summons, and the order to provide certain documents and information to the Specialist Prosecutor's Office on the same day. In the order, the Specialist Prosecutor's Office stated that the applicant was, quote, obligated to produce, end quote, all documents, data, notes and information as specified in the order, and was warned that a failure to produce the documents, quote, shall be considered, end quote, contempt, which as a result thereof, the Specialist Prosecutor's Office may request the Specialist Chambers to undertake measures that enforce compliance with the order. The order also stated that there were, quote, reasons to believe that the applicant had been involved in the commission of a crime within the jurisdiction of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, end quote. The applicant has requested this chamber to grant an interim measure suspending the order obligating him to produce the documents, data, notes and information as specified in the said order. Applicable law. The Chamber recalls that in accordance with Rule 21, Paragraph 1 of the Rules of Procedure for the Specialist Chamber of the Constitutional Court, an interim measure may be ordered where an individual faces, quote, a real risk of serious harm, end quote, if the interim measure were not granted. Findings. In assessing whether there is a real risk of serious harm if the interim measure were not granted, the Chamber has had regard to the Specialist Prosecutor's submission that the applicant will be informed of his rights to silence and to not incriminate himself on 11 February 2019, and the Chamber recognises that this carries some weight. However, the Chamber finds it difficult at this point in time to reconcile that submission with the terms of the prosecutor's order obligating the applicant to provide the specified documents and information when he appears for questioning on 11 February 2019, in default of which a finding of contempt shall be made. The Chamber considers that on its face the order is problematic in terms of the requirements of justice, in that it constitutes an order to a confirmed suspect to produce documents, data and information when he appears for questioning. Such an order could, if complied with, cause serious harm to the applicant should his status change from that of a suspect to that of an accused. If not complied with, the order warns that the applicant's failure to produce the documents, quote, shall be considered contempt, end quote. Under the express terms of the order, the applicant has no other choice but to comply with its directions and to provide the requested documents if he wants to avoid a finding of contempt and the consequences which may follow thereafter. Having regard to the foregoing, and bearing in mind the time constraints under which the applicant's request for an interim measure is made, the Chamber is prepared to accept that in the very specific circumstances of this case, there is a real risk of serious harm in the event that the interim measure is not granted. The Chamber confirms that this order granting an interim measure does no more than ensure that the status quo is maintained, pending its determination of the referral. The Chamber confirms that this order is without prejudice to its determination of the referral, including to any findings it may make on the admissibility or merits thereof. The Chamber further confirms that this order is without prejudice to the applicant's obligation to appear pursuant to the summons for questioning before the Specialist Prosecutor's Office on 11 February 2019. Effective date. This order on the interim measure is effective immediately. The order. Having provided this summary of the Chamber's ruling, the operative provisions of the order are as follows. The Specialist Chamber of the Constitutional Court unanimously suspends the order of the Specialist Prosecutor's Office of 20 December 2018 insofar as it obliges the applicant to provide the documents, data, notes and information specified in the order until such time as the Chamber decides on the referral or until further order. This concludes the Chamber's pronouncement.
All rise.